Welcome to Seamless Windows 10 Migration, Oxymoron on Reality session on CWIN. So we have only 30 minutes, 10 minutes I would like to spend to presenting some slides on the very beginning. Then I will pass voice to our colleague from Microsoft, Paweł, and then Michał will present the demo, how it works. So let's start. Connected employee experience. What it is and what it does. So the term employee experience has become a focal point for many companies today. And the reason is clear. There is a straight connection between the employee experience and business results. When you deliver an amazing employee experience, you ensure that employees are more productive and satisfied, and you have a huge edge in the war for talent. So top recruits are more likely to join your company, more likely to stay longer, more likely to refer their talented friends and colleagues. This is why we believe that employee experience is so important. To ensure that you can achieve the amazing employee experience, Capgemini has created the Connected Employees Experience portfolio, which includes a series of innovative offerings, including Connected Workspace, which is a technical platform for delivering all the solutions, and something what we call the freedom of choice, so the concept of using any device, anytime, from anywhere. Connected Office, and you may hear more about Connected Office on a different session on CWIN. And also Connected Employee, and you also can learn something more about it on different sessions. Technical solutions, which are Connected Workspace, Connected Office, and Connected Employee, are very important. But to make sure that they are successfully implemented, they need to be supported by something what we call organizational transformation. This organizational transformation ensures, among others, the high adoption rate for the technology and services. And once the transformation is finished, we provide with ongoing support by Capgemini managed services. But now we would like to focus on the subject of the session, which is Windows 10 migration services. Windows 10 migration services sits within Connected Workspace. Connected Workspace integrates multiple capabilities through a common connection point. And the goal for it is to deliver digital experience that creates business advantages. So what is our view on the migration services? How the migration should look like? First of all, it should be quick and efficient, and obviously with minimal disruption. And this minimal disruption should be not only, which is obvious for end users, so keeping the great end user experience, but also for IT and the business. This is the first goal. The second, during the migration, we built an experience that builds job satisfactions. And obviously this job satisfaction perform or do the business performance, right? The third thing, it's also very important, optimize your infrastructure by software licensing, hardware, and cloud strategy to cut the cost, of course, because during the migration we touch many points of the workplace. This is an ideal point for that to do this optimization. But this is not all. Also, during the migration project, we would like to accelerate some transformation initiatives and showcase the business value to IT. I will talk about this transformation services later on, right? But the key point is that Capgemini can help you to achieve all of these goals. And why we believe that our service, what we offer, is the best on the market? Because we have a proven, fast, complete strategy and unique approach, which is at the end of the story with a great user experience. Why we think it's proven? It's because we did it successfully for thousands of endpoints so far. Why it's fast? Because our projects take months rather than years. Why it's complete? Because we cover and we support end-to-end migration processes, starting from the consulting and strategy build and finish on early life support and then ongoing support. Why it's strategy? already said, because we offer not only migration project, but we offer also many transformation projects within and changes. And unique. By unique, we call it self-orchestrated migration, which is ensured by great user experience. And I will explain this self-orchestrated migration in a second. Self-orchestrated migration is in the middle, but let's focus on full range of options to accelerate migration on every migration state. Let's start from assessment. Why assessment is so important is because it's prepared us for later challenges during the project. We know what to expect, and we make sure that we are not going to the wall which we can't pass over. So we are expect for later challenges. It's also important from the point of view that assessment gives us the information which we can import and use during the second phase, which is target design model. Target design model comes with a developed internally tool which is called 3D matrix. So what it does and how we use it. We analyze the data which we recognize, which we find out during the assessment. We also analyzed the customer client requirements, and based on this tool, which is decision tree AI and machine learning tool, we providing with a particular migration scenario to the particular end users. And this is how we do deployment. During the deployment, we can offer 3 different migration scenarios and 1 deployment scenario. So 3 different migration scenario would be in-place migration. So in case that for particular users, hardware and software are compatible, we can offer in-place migration. This is the fastest, the most cost-effective way to move from Windows 7 to Windows 10. So end user can keep existing hardware, and within, I would say, an hour or maybe hour and a half, can switch to the new working Windows 10 operating system, and all the data is kept on the computer, and all the software is already installed. All the drivers are compatible. This is one migration scenario. The second migration scenario, called operating system refresh, means that you still keep the existing hardware, but from some reason you would like to wipe the old legacy operating system, format hard drive, and install the new Windows 10 operating system from scratch. So we also providing with such scenario. And how it looks, both scenarios, I mean in-place migration and operating system refresh, are fully automated, zero touch from end user point of view, and also zero touch from IT perspective. So we automated all the tasks related to those 2 scenarios, and we are able to provide it fully automatically, zero touch, as I said. There is also third migration scenario, which is called hardware refresh or replace, hardware replace. So in case you would like to replace hardware, so even build even better end user experience, or hardware is not compatible and you are forced to provide end users with a new hardware, we can use this third migration scenario, hardware replace. Obviously, with hardware replace migration scenario, it's not a fully automated thing, right? Some hands-on are required because someone needs to disconnect the legacy hardware and unbox, connect the new one. So, of course, we can do it as Capgemini, but everything is the matter of cost. So if client wants to reduce the cost, we can use for that, because they are very simple tasks, we can use for that end users. And I mentioned also about 4 scenarios. So the 4th scenario is deployment scenario. And it's different from the migration because we don't migrate data. We're just preparing the Windows 10 computers for new joiners, just in example, without migrating data. And we have 2 ways how we can do it. First way is a quite legacy one. So using Configuration Manager, Microsoft Configuration Manager, we connect computer to the local network, we push 1 button, and after a couple of minutes, we have a brand new Windows 10 installed on the computer. Obviously, all the apps are installed as well. But this is not very fancy way. This is how it works from years. But there is a new way here. It's called Windows Autopilot. So let's imagine the scenario where we have a computer brand new from store. And we connect it not to the corporate network, but to the internet, just purely internet. And after we log in, we have an enterprise-enabled system on it installed or configured. But I will keep the space to explain how it works to our colleague from Microsoft, and Paweł will cover in a second in details how it works. Then we have transformation projects, different transformation projects. This is the strategic move. So rather than having just a project, Windows 10 migration project, we would like to propose something more. So you may want to separate data from the device. So in future, if you would like to replace the devices for end users, you don't need to worry anymore about how to migrate data. Or you would like to provide users with something what we call freedom of choice, so any device, anytime, from anywhere, and we can add this feature during the transformation projects as well. And the last one is managed services. So after transformation is done, after we migrated everyone to Windows 10, we would like to keep this Windows 10 for you evergreen. And as you may know, Microsoft with Windows 10 changed the way how they deliver security patches, features, and so on and so on. So this is the way how we can support it by our managed service, and I would like to keep this space for Paweł as well to explain why it's so important and how we can help with that. But now let's focus on something what is exactly in the middle and what answers the subject of our session, seamless Windows 10 migration experience. So we call it self-orchestrated migration. And self-orchestrated migration means that the migration is fast, convenient, efficient, and can be personalized. What does it mean? How we achieve it? First, we make sure that all the migration components or all the components which are required for a migration have a green status. So what we check? End user data. So we are making sure that end user data are compliant, are ready for a migration. Then hardware. If end user hardware is ready for Windows 10. If not, we propose the replacing. Applications. So if all the software which needs to be migrated is also in green status. And then infrastructure. Obviously, infrastructure needs to handle the migration as well. So we are making sure that infrastructure can handle the effort and the migration. One component is missing here, which is very important, which is end user. We also making sure that end user is ready for a migration. So after you have Windows 10, you exactly know how to access your applications, how to access your data, so you can be productive after the migration. So this is what we do on the very beginning, during the assessment and during the remediation part of the project. And it usually works this way, that some of the users in the organizations are almost immediately ready for a migration, right? And there is no reason to hold them for migrating because different part of the end users are not ready yet. So this is why we changed the approach, and rather than going with waves, we give the end user the freedom of choice. We developed a bot, deployment bot. This deployment bot is on every end user computer, and user can ask the bot about the readiness. If I'm ready for a migration, what is not ready, when I will be ready, if all my apps are ready for a migration. So we can discuss with the bots using natural language, because there is natural language processor recognition, everything what is migration related. And we can even schedule the migration using the bot, deployment bot. So how it works? Bot is directly hooked into the scheduling and migration tool. What does it mean? If I talk to the bot that I would like to be migrated Friday evening, on Monday morning, doesn't matter, I don't need to raise a ticket. I don't need to call service desk and asking if they have capabilities for that. I can ask the bot, dear bot, I would like to be migrated Friday evening, and bot can tell me that there is an open slot for that, if I can do it or not, or propose a different time for a migration. Also, if I would like to check the status of a migration, I can also talk to the bot. For guys who are not very interested in talking to the bot, we have another solution, self-service migration portal. So users can log into the self-service migration portal, can take a look there, what is the readiness status, so which components are ready, what kind of apps are going to be migrated, because maybe not apps which I have currently on my Windows 7 computer can be migrated to Windows or will be migrated to Windows 10. Depends, just an example, on usage patterns. So I can log to self-service portal and schedule and trigger the migration as well. Moreover, I can do it even if I'm outside the office. So let's imagine the scenario where I'm left the computer in the office, I went home, and I would like to start the migration from home. Yes, I can do it. I can log into the self-service portal and talk to the board remotely using smartphone or tablet. I can schedule this migration, and I can even track progress. What is the migration progress? And once migration is done, I will be notified by bot that migration is successfully, or maybe not, that there are some issues and some additional effort is required for the support, from the support side. So this is how it works. This is our answer, and this is how we believe that Windows 10 migration can still be with a great end user experience and can be absolutely seamless for them. Right? One more thing before I switch, I take floor to the Paweł, but we are in the factory, Windows 10 migration factory space here. And you may ask what it does, what Windows factory engaged. So this is very simple. We recognized almost or over 1,500 different individual migration tasks. Some of them needs to be done manually or almost manually because they are unique, because clients are unique, and we need to tailor, we need to adjust those tasks. But some of these 1,500 different tasks are quite similar for everyone and can be automated, industrialized, and standardized. And this is why we developed here internally in Capgemini the entity we called Windows 10 Migration Factory, which allow us to deliver those standardized tasks with a 100% automated way. So we are making sure that the quality of this task is very, very good. And we helping project team to do it with a quick and efficient way. So this is how it works from our perspective. And now I would like to ask Paweł to tell us what Microsoft says about the migration, autopilot, and Evergreen, Windows Evergreen. Thanks.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Paweł Bakomski. I'm a digital advisor at Microsoft, and I deal with desktop infrastructure from deployment security point of view. If you have an experience with migration from XP to Windows 7, you may recall that the process was not very smooth. It was kind of complicated. And I must say that we learned the lesson. And we made the process to migrate Windows 7 or 8.1 to Windows 10 much easier. But this is what we did in the operating system, like in-place migration. That helps the IT, but also helps the customers and the end users. Because, of course, the user settings, applications, drivers, everything will remain. But this is just how it works from the operating point of view. So I'm very happy to see solutions like Dbot, like service portals that make user experience even better. Because when you can schedule your own migration, when you can talk like in natural language to a bot and can check the progress, it makes people who work in an office, their experience regarding the migration much better. And so I'm glad to see that Capgemini creates such very innovative solutions. Right, so who likes pictures? Like pictures, who like images? I'm not talking about images on the wall, however. I'm talking about images of the operating system, much more boring subject right now. Because the images that we used to have in every IT infrastructure is, I think, a thing of the past. Because with Windows 10, as you may or may not know, we have changed the release schedule. So we create a new operating system every 6 months. So your choice, if you want to maintain images, is to, or, well, maintain an old image for a longer time, which will not be updated for your users, or you can create an image every 6 months, which is a lot. So we decided to take a different approach and not to use images at all. So with Windows Autopilot, that Chris has already talked about a bit, you can get rid of images in your organization at all. So imagine a scenario when a user gets a computer in a box from a vendor, from a shop, from a retailer, whatever, and he or she unboxes the computer, turns it on, connects to the network, and the first thing after choosing a language, a keyboard, he or she sees is a question about the password. And the login page is customized. It's already customized for the organization. Already the computer knows what user it is assigned to. So after the user puts the password, the magic happens. The computer enrolls into an MDM, for example, Intune, gets all applications, security policies, settings, customizations. So after a few minutes, 30 minutes, depends of course on the number of applications, bandwidth, but much quicker than using the IT department, the user gets a brand new computer, already customized, ready to work. The computer is already managed by the IT because it's enrolled into the MDM. So the IT hasn't touched this computer. It came from the vendor. The user had a great experience, and everyone is happy because the IT department now has got more time to do important things. I think creating, maintaining images, and installing computers is not the best thing to do with time in IT department. On the other hand, if you are a user and you're a newcomer and you need to wait for a new computer for a few days or even a week, it's not the best experience with IT department. It's like the first thing to do at work is to sit at the desk because you have no computer. So we call it autopilot for a reason, because it's self-driven. You may, of course, set it up by yourself, but if you want to scale it up, you may want to use partners like Capgemini to manage for you. So to make sure it works smoothly, to make sure the computers are managed correctly from MDM and so on. I'm not going back to Windows 7 to 10 migration, because Chris talked about it enough. I think one thing which is important and very often overlooked is that once you are migrated to Windows 10, you need to make sure that you manage your environment correctly, right? Because since I have already said that Windows 10 is created in a different way, something must change within your organizations. We don't ask you to change technology. We don't ask you to change your knowledge. What, however, is going to happen is that you need to switch from a project approach. So approach when you, for 1 year, 2 years, had a project to migrate from one Windows to another, and then you can take a breath for another 5 years and do it again and again, every 4, 5, 6 years. I think now you're going to have to do it more often, but your work is going to be much easier. So instead of treating it as a project, treat it as a process. So Windows as a service, as we call it in Microsoft, is a process of upgrading the operating system every few months. We deploy new operating system every 6 months. Why we do it? Because we adjust to changes. So we can't allow ourselves to have an operating system which is not secure. So when we create an operating system so often, we can really react to what happens in the security landscape in the world. So last year, I think the most important security threat was ransomware, right? Everyone's going to agree. This year, not so much. But what we did last year in our fall release in 1709, so-called, so in October last year, we released at least 3 features that were anti-ransomware, because we knew this was a very strategic threat, and we wanted to react. So basically, this is how we do it. And if you think about our optics at Microsoft, you can be certain that we know what is going on in the landscape when it comes to security. So this is why we can adjust our security, our operating system to the newest threats. Now, this change is not so much about the technology, because technology remains the same, but the change management. And if you want to manage to adjust your organization to new requirements, you may want to use partners such as Capgemini to do it with you, because this step is important and is not so easy as it may seem to adjust your internal change management processes and procedures to new operating system reality and to new way of creating operating system right now. And if you can see all different technologies in the world, they change in this way. So they are released much more often to react to user needs, to react to threats, and I think this is the future of most software. So Windows is not an exception. So thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. We remain here to answer your questions after that. Thank you.
Thank you, Paweł. So now I would like to ask Michał to present you how it looks in the real world. So how you can talk to the bot, how you can log into self-service portal, schedule the migration, and what are the benefits from that. Over to you, Michał.
Thank you, Chris. Well, I'm going to present deployment stage of migration project from end user perspective. Well, I wish I could show you a migration on a real computer, but that would take too much time and we get time limitations here. So we decided to record this migration and present it as a movie. So you will be watching a movie. We want to show you scheduling the migration. As Chris mentioned, this is self-orchestrated migration. So we want users to schedule migration on their own. Bot is popping up. That's the small application installed on every single machine. Bob is informing user that his workstation is ready, it's green, everything was checked during assessment. Hardware is ready, applications are compatible, user is ready. So user is clicking on the link. Link is moving to user to self-service portal, where user can schedule a migration. But before the migration is scheduled, user needs to confirm the location and applications. On the top, you can see the user owns 4 computers, but only 3 will be migrations because the 4th one is not ready yet. User may leave those answers on these questions as don't know. That's nothing wrong, but may decide on applications which are not in use at the moment, and he doesn't want these applications to be migrated. So that's the optional step. Now, user simply click save and continue, and it's moving to the magic, which is scheduling the migration. I'm going to stop the movie for a moment. Chris mentioned that even 70% of computers may be ready for migration, and we do not want to stop the migration just because there are some computers requires replacement, or we don't want to wait for them. So we open the migration for thousands of computers. So you may imagine that thousands of people want to migrate it one day. No, we get capacity management feature preventing too many people from migrating at the same time. So you can see that's only 20 available capacity for this day. So we control capacity automatically, and the maximum available capacity is also automatically calculated by our automations and our toolset. So user scheduled migration on the 14th, just the confirmation screen, what applications will be migrated, what application won't be migrated, and now migration day is coming. That's the regular screen of workstation. Pop-up window appears. That's from the management system, SCCM, showing that the migration will start in almost 2 minutes. In this case, this is in-place scenario, migration in-place scenario. It's also possible to make a backup of the user data. That's not the mandatory. Now the computer is being migrated. Apart from in-place scenario, we have also OS refresh that can be also fully automated. Then operating system will be installed from scratch. Before we do that, we move user data to the storage. Then we format the disk, install operating system, and once it's back, we move user data from the storage to computer, to the user computer. At the end, when user accesses the Windows 10 computer, you will see a bot. Bot is the assistant. Bot is the interface between user and migration team. And you may check the migration progress using the bot. That's during migration. After migration, you may raise some issues, hopefully no issues, but you may want to report the feedback regarding the migration. You may want to request a new application to be installed or raise any other questions or issues. That's the bot. Bot is checking with user whether everything is okay, maybe some other questions or other things to raise. So that's end of demo.
Okay, thank you, Michał.
Question and answer session. So over to you, Chris.
Thank you. So this is how we believe that this seamless Windows 10 migration experience is really reality and not a fake. So thank you very much for being on this session. Do you have any questions we can answer? All right, if there is no questions, thank you very much indeed, and take care. Thank you.